Smith now calling out Kamala Harris for not doing interviews. And there's also this story of Kamala Harris editing headlines and buying Google ads, which of course just means that the support that she claims she's going to have is just, how do I say this? It's about to be inorganic, further proving what we've been saying about this campaign.
The impact of Biden's economic agenda. I'll start on that side. Harris will carry Biden's economic record into the election. After manipulation.
Which no one wants. No one wants her to carry Biden's economic record into this election. So look what they did after.
No, from their side, from their perspective. So VP Harris, economic vision, lower costs and higher wages. And even though it says it above, it's sponsored, that's an inaccurate.
The yellow.
And it's
well, because they're taking
deceitful.
the logo of the publication and making it seem like that's the headline. They did it again in Reuters. This is how it originally was. Impact of Biden's economic. What are we doing?
Right there. Go to this.
All right,
one.
we're going to go to North Dakota.
Go to that last one, the one on the far right.
Wall selected as Kamala Harris VP pick for 2024 election after Harris picks Tim Walz.
Time or place. I'll come to you. I'll come to you. I'll show up. Anytime. And I'm no political.
Well, Stephen A. Smith, you are not a political aficionado. As a matter of fact, if anything, what you should do is shut the hell up. But also to go on top of this, it is actually pure blasphemy that you are even talking about politics when maybe what you should do is, I don't know, maybe stick to sports. Then again, though, you really and truly aren't that great at that topic either. So let's just go ahead and get through this. So the Kamala Harris campaign has recently been caught editing headlines. Now, I talked about this a little bit yesterday, and of course, I also touched on it briefly in the video that I have released at 3 o'clock today. And of course, this whole point about editing headlines, of course, this right here is like, just shady as hell. But of course, it's also to be expected from a campaign that refuses to take questions from any mainstream media news outlet. And now mainstream media news outlets are actually a little bit upset with this. They're upset with this because, well, they feel like it's their job to actually get Harris elected, which of course she knows. But this right here just makes it too daggone much. Now, I'm going to talk briefly about the media, but the vast majority of this video is going to be focusing primarily on Stephen A. Smith and what he said the other night during his podcast. However, before we get there, let me go ahead and play the clip, roughly 54 seconds long, of what was put together, that was posted to Twitter, that kind of got the ball rolling on this. Let's roll this.
Nothing to me. Let me show y'all this poll to juxtapose what was transpiring in June. National poll, August 12th. Has Harris up 48% to 47% for Trump. That's as of today. Okay? That's what the national poll average is showing. Less than 2 months ago, June 28th, Trump had a 5-point lead. Okay? So let's understand something. Let's understand this right now. First to say, that doesn't mean shit to me. It means nothing to me. You running for the presidency of the United States of America. What you hiding for? United States. Not one single press conference. Not one single one-on-one sit-down interview where somebody gets to question you about the questions that we ask.
The entire 18 minutes, he talked about polls and why it wasn't crap. And then he would eventually actually do a pretty good job of pointing out exactly all the flip-flops that Kamala Harris has yet to answer for, and also the fact that she has stolen or plagiarized the no tax on tip policy that Trump has been proposing since the spring of this year. Now, guys, I'm not going to be including all the flip-flops that this woman has because Stephen A. Smith, believe it or not, actually did a pretty good job of, calling this out. However, the reason why I think it's blasphemy for him to even be talking about this and why it is that he's not a political aficionado is because he also details once again that he's going to be a simp and he's going to go vote for Kamala Harris anyways, regardless of the fact that there are a lot of black men that I talked about earlier who are actually bucking the black celebrity trend. Now, there's going to be a follow-up to that video out tomorrow, just giving you guys a bit of a heads up. And then there's also this little bit here that happened at a Kamala Harris fundraiser in New York City, which is kind of a sign of things to come for the DNC because she still can't win over the Free Palestine crowd. But there's a little war going on there. Of course, the woke eating the woke. And we will discuss that right there much, much further in tomorrow's video, the second video. And then, of course, on the weekend, I'll probably have a couple of videos out on what's going on in the world of pop culture. Because like I said before, in the previous video or the video that I did yesterday, the second video, I said that I was probably going to start focusing a lot more on those videos too to go along with what I'm doing now. Because come next year, I'm probably going to start going to that battlefield to start fight this radical left nonsense that we have to deal with. Even though we're already winning, I just want to go ahead and start that process so that way we can get back to the things that, quite frankly, we all love and adore outside of politics, which, of course, we all hate with a passion. Let me go ahead and start this out by saying that even though Stephen A. Smith calling out the flip-flops and it's him still simping for Kamala Harris, it's not going to matter because at the end of the day, Kamala Harris probably still won't answer for all the flip-flops. Case in point, this little thing where she's editing headlines. Let me go ahead and play the rest of what you guys saw at the beginning.
The Minnesota families win. That was never in the headline before, but they made it that way.
So then in the next one, you can see what the original article said. The impact of Biden's economic agenda may be felt long after his presidency.
Okay.
So then they changed it to say at the bottom, inflation is down. Under the Biden-Harris administration, the U.S. is winning an inflation fight.
Right. So Google says that the Trump camp is not running these kinds of sponsored advertising, but other campaigns have done it in the past. Facebook actually stopped doing this because they felt it was disinformation. Because when you look at that stuff, and what Google says is, see, it says right at the top, sponsored. You should know this is sponsored content from the campaign. But the average person, they don't read the sponsored thing. They just look for the headline. It's like, oh, inflation is down. Oh, Harris picks Tim Walz. And so it is deceptive. And so, for instance, some of the news outfits are saying, what we're going to do is we're going to contact Google because we don't like this.
Yeah, but why are they contacting Google? Go to the campaign and say, this is misinformation from you, campaign. This is not our headline. We're asking you to cease and desist it. You're putting our logo at the top of it as if we said it. That's wrong.
So obviously pretty shady, pretty low down. But I also explained in a previous video why it is this tactic really is just money not well spent. You see, you got to understand something right quick. Some people here on the platform, I haven't done this yet. Of course, I probably could have gotten away with doing it a long time ago, but I just didn't see the point in doing it. Some people love to buy Google ad time. They buy fake ads or they buy the little ads to promote their channel. And of course, it gives them a bit of a boost, okay? But the problem is this here. That boost they get is kind of a fake boost. It's kind of a faux one. They do get some subscribers, some views, and all that type of stuff there. But of course, when you do that, it actually ensures that the support that you have as a channel, it kind of ensures it's not organic, it's fake. Yeah, there are some people who will still watch your content, but still at the same time, though, most of the ones who tuned in for that video just tuned in for that video and that video alone. That means that the support you gained, the support you just garnered wasn't exactly what we call real. Meaning that a lot of what you guys are seeing in the polls is not exactly what you call meaningful too. As a matter of fact, if you break down the polling data that she's gotten recently by demographic and you type it into, say, I don't know, NBC Swing the Vote or Decision Desk or any of the many other election models, it comes up to the same result. Trump getting about 316 electoral college votes, and guess what? You win the election through the electoral college, not the popular vote. The vast majority of her support's coming in from California, the West Coast, New York, very, very blue states. As a matter of fact, the Investors Business Daily Tracking poll that was released here recently, because they do their polls based upon area, also revealed the support that she was getting, simply response bias. People, of course, liberals who weren't excited to vote are now suddenly excited to say that they're Kamala Harris supporters. Just figured I'd point that out before we go any further. It's not organic. But then we get to the topic of Stephen A. Smith. We've known for a very long time that Stephen A. Smith would ultimately, at the end of the day, just bow down and just go support the Democrat. This is just who the hell he is. And of course, he's now decided to, I guess you could say, try to be fair by saying that Kamala Harris doesn't do any interviews, which she hasn't. And this kind of goes back to the thing that you heard at the very, very end. Even mainstream news outlets are pissed off with the fact that Kamala Harris is doing this. It also interrupts their potential ad revenue as well, because they get ad revenue too. I'm just simply saying that you're pissing off your allies. You probably shouldn't do that, because they will find a way to, how do I say, go negative on you, which in reality, going negative on Kamala Harris, that there being the mainstream media, is just simply telling the truth about something that happened. which doesn't bode well for her because if you just let a slither of truth out there, she loses about 10% of her voting base. But what the hell is Stephen A. Smith going on about? Well, he's going on about the fact that Kamala Harris, like I said earlier, doesn't want to answer any questions. Let's take a look at some of this.
As the presumptive Democratic nominee on July 21st. Okay? Now I'm going to look at this right now. I'm looking at my calendar because I just want to make sure. July 21st was a Sunday. We've had 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and 1 day since Joe Biden stepped aside. The only damn place we've seen Kamala Harris is at pep rallies. What's up? Somebody got to say something. And it can't just be the conservatives. Right is right. I'm talking to my sister here. Come on now.
My sister here. My sister here. Look, let me say this really quick. There's about 39 seconds there, and you can obviously cut through every single word, but it's obviously the big words, the big things that are said that we tend to focus on, which is true. Because typically what's said at the end is typically what it is that they really and truly mean. Come on now. Don't talk about my sister here. First of all, look, you call me brother, this, that, and the other. If I like you, I'll say, yeah, you're my brother. But of course, if I don't like you, I'll tell you point blank. You ain't my damn brother. You ain't my damn sister. I mean, just figure out and throw that out before we go any further. That's how much of a simp Stephen A. Smith is, but let's keep going.
You running for the presidency of the United States of America. You got my vote. You running for the presidency of the United States of America. What you hiding for? And I mean hiding in plain sight. Somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it. Now, you can't be running for the presidency of the United States. Not one single press conference, not one single one-on-one sit-down interview where somebody gets to question you about the questions that we ask. That's not fair.
Y'all loved it when Joe Biden utilized this same strategy. It was called the basement strategy. And of course, she's doing it now. By the way, I'm going to link this video right here from Mentis Wave in the description box. Pretty good video discussing the basement strategy and why it is actually a lot more insidious than you might think. I actually talked about it a little bit in a previous video, but it wasn't a video that was centered primarily on the basement strategy. But basically what's going on here is that these people are now trying to act like they have some form of credibility. Which is kind of weird, too, because everybody knows that the media has no credibility. And I think that they should know by now that nobody believes they have any credibility, but still watch them try to act like they have some credibility. It's just amazing to see. But let's watch this next part.
That's not fair. And if you're a conservative and you out there lambasting her for it, ridiculing her for it, trying to torment her for it or whatever, it is perfectly within your right to do so. All of you anti-conservatives out there, shut the hell up. That's a valid point. It ain't valid to bring up a blackness or an Indian heritage and to try to point to things of that nature. That's nonsense. But to ask her about her record, because she is attached to the Biden record, is definitely apropos, especially when you were bragging about the record. We talked about Biden being a transformative president. Well, stand on it then. Stand on it. Where you at?
In the sense that he transformed us from a country that was recovering from a pandemic to a country that stayed stagnated and has continued to get a lot worse. And of course, Kamala Harris is a big part of that. So I can understand why it is that Stephen A. Smith wants to look photo credible. But of course, there is more from this interview that might make you think that Stephen A. actually is doing a good job here, which we'll get to in a second. But since the Biden administration has been in office, inflation has gotten a lot worse. There was going to be some transitory, but it wasn't going to be this bad under Trump in the second term. Also, to go on top of this, we've inherited, a situation that's occurred on Joe's watch. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that's right. Russia, Ukraine, keep sending our money over there. It costs us the taxpayer more and more and more. We got chaos going on in South America and Venezuela, not too far away from our own shores. We've also got a war in the Middle East that occurred on Joe's watch, Israel, Hamas. And, of course, that war is actually expanding now to Lebanon. Things have just gotten worse under these people. But, of course, there are the flip-flops, the faux positions that Kamala Harris had at one point in time that she doesn't have now, or she claims she does not have now, which in reality she probably still does, but also at the same time probably still doesn't, because if you look at a career prosecutor's actual record, they really just care about the prosecution. And if you look into Kamala Harris's actual past, even from her time as a child, she has this extremely big-time grudge against black men. And you wonder why it is that black men are waking up. I just figure I would leave that in the video for you guys to kind of think on. But speaking about the flip-flop, speaking about the crazy, this right here is where Stephen A. finally decides to transition into those questions that Kamala Harris should be asked.
What's up? No Face the Nation? No Politico? No MSNBC? I understand why you wouldn't do Fox. Liberals don't really do Fox, just like conservatives don't really do MSNBC. You're welcome to the Stephen A. Smith Show. I will gladly interview Donald Trump. I will gladly interview Kamala Harris. Name the time or place. I'll come to you. I'll come to you. I'll show up. Anytime. And I'm no political, but I know this much. I know how to ask the questions that Americans want to know. Kamala Harris, there are certain things that we have to ask you a question about. There's simply no way of getting around certain things. Weren't you against fracking? Is that true? And now you're for it? Just asking.
Stephen A. Simp, a non-political aficionado who everything that comes out of his mouth, politics related, is pure blasphemy, is doing exactly what the mainstream media claims they're trying to do. He's trying to talk about all the times how it was that where Kamala Harris was very, very much in favor of eliminating private health care insurance. She was very much in favor of eliminating that and going with a free health care model. Then she turned right back around after that, and what did she do? She went on the debate stage and said, free health care for illegals. She said free health care to illegals, then turned right back around 2 days later, had to walk that back, said she got caught up in the moment. This is all stuff that's been covered before. She's also been the border czar. They're trying to cover that up. And, of course, she's let more and more and more illegals in. By the way, those illegals end up replacing black people in the census. They replace black people as a whole. We'll probably have a project on that before the year's over with, maybe going in next year, I don't know. But still, even after this election's over with, you still got to continue to fight these people. But still, the point is this right here. A lot of flip-flops in this woman's record. And, of course, there's also this one right here that I'm showing you guys a bit of in the B-roll footage that's been going viral for a while. All the innocent black men, or the black men that she's overcharged as DA of San Francisco, all the marijuana violations that probably should not have resulted in any prison time at all. She bragged about that. Basically, what I'm saying is that this woman has got a lot of things in her past that people need to ask her questions about, but someone like Stephen A. Smith, don't go out of your way to praise him, because guess what he's going to do? He's just going to turn right back around and support the woman this presidential cycle. He even tells you here, so please stop it with the praise on Stephen A. But let's watch the last part.
These are important questions to think about. You're going to intensify and elevate the importance of securing our borders. Were you always that way? These are legitimate questions. You no longer support a national ban on fracking. Also, you no longer support the elimination of private health insurance. Is it true that one time you supported those things? When did your mind change? How long ago was that? When were you going to tell the American people? Why'd you keep it from everybody? And yes, it is a legitimate question. How much did you know about Joe Biden and the slippage?
Now, Stephen A., he does a pretty good job of saying, look, we need to know what the hell is going on here. If you're going to be president, we need to know this. But, of course, like I said before, he is going to still continue to support this person, which brings me to this final point. You've heard me say this before. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And it's true. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. However, outside of that I don't think a person deserves any praise if they don't actually intend on doing what we call a behavioral correction. Let me explain what I mean. A lot of people over the past few years have praised Bill Maher because he's fighting back against the woke mob. However, I have said this on several occasions that Bill Maher is just simply doing what? He's coping with the environment he helped create. He's been supporting Democrats his entire life. He's very, very much a secular liberal. He's been attacking Christians his entire life. He basically, he'll tell you he's attacking religion, but in reality, he never attacks Islam, just Christianity. The thing about Bill Maher, say in his case, is that the fact is that Bill Maher is going to continue to support the same party that gives him these policies. So, therefore, no, he does not deserve any praise at all. I've had people say that you shouldn't go out of your way to say that you get what it is that you vote for. And, of course, I've done a lot of videos, say, on the migrant crisis, feeling bad for people who live in New York and Chicago who may have actually not voted that last cycle or did not vote for the nonsense. But, of course, there are some that did vote for it who are dealing with it. In that case there, you get what the hell it is that you vote for. I don't want to hear Stephen A. Smith ever say that he's pro-black because he's voting for a woman who, quite frankly, made a career out of doing what? Locking up black people. Let me turn it back over to Stephen A. Smith's number one nemesis to kind of like just let you know that she's not pro-black at all.
Like, what is wrong with you? Do you not know there's video of Kamala Harris acting like an Indian? Do you not know there's video to the contrary of everything you saying, Ricky? Let me expose Ricky real quick. Hey, Ricky, let me show you something real quick, Ricky. You said that Kamala Harris has a great record. All you got to do is look it up. But you know one thing you didn't do is you didn't tell one damn thing that she did. Why do we got to look it up? If you fighting for her so hard, why you couldn't tell us? You know why you couldn't tell us? Because she ain't do shit.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only tangible policies.
I know Smith is a simp, and no, he does not deserve any praise at all. None. None whatsoever. Because while you're saying that you want to ask the hard-hitting questions, that you should sit down and answer these questions, you're still going to support it blindly anyway, so why should we give your dumb ass any praise? But you guys tell me in the comment section what you think. With that right there being said, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sound off in the comment section. I got surgery coming up here in the next 2 weeks. I'm going to be letting you guys know that every video going forward, so that way you guys will know where I'm at come Labor Day weekend. Even though you guys will probably be enjoying yourselves in that right there. But still, though, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, beat the censorship, and I'll see you guys later.